Christ the King. The famously fast Father Crowley could do the Mass in 20 minutes. From the consecration on, his grey physog would flick sideways to the clock every so often to check his timing. Not even his brevity could entice the hardchaws who stayed outside in the porch, or further away on the pavement, smoking, eyeing up the fishnets of Adrian Corrie in the news of the world. Across the way, the sadness of the closed doors of the beer garden. A tang of stale porter smote the air, mixing with tobacco smoke, the haze of sulphur off a blazing match. Inside, as the sun clouded over, the yellow light turned to umber, and Simon of Cyrene bent down to lift the cross off the shoulders of the fallen Christ. Father Crowley nodded a svelte head at the tabernacle, genuflected swiftly as from out the black chasuble there popped briefly a black-soled shoe, then swept off to the sacristy. After which, a quiet but elaborate breakfast. Sausages, bacon, eggs, old-time Irish marmalade, soft toast with the crust sliced off, country butter, lots of Barry's tea from thick ceramic fired in Carrigaline. On the jar of marmalade a black cat sat before a blazing hearth.
Adrigal. We are going to be here for less than a month, but already I've started to repaint the walls, having scraped off the flaking paint and sought out a tin of blue emulsion. On my desk I place a bunch of wild honeysuckle, which fragrance pulsates as I make the first of the revisions of what is to become my life. Everything is growing strange and lonely as I ready myself for the plunge into famine, bad poetry, the smell rising from the fields. Sometimes it's as if I am on holiday and I walk down to the cross to take a pint, where one evening someone sings a song from the Borland Valley that no one understands. On a hot day we drove up there to the bathing pool in the hills. The granite burned beneath our naked skin, but when we swam, the water had the shock of the subterranean. We clasped in its utter cold. Mahila Mar for Charles J. High. There is an excitation of light outside the window. Two brown shapes move across the field of vision. A doe and her leveret. Miles away in Dublin, at the periphery of declining power, you sift through pages you've already riffled ceaselessly. Turn once more to the column of figures, hoping your watchfulness will see you through. In chamber after chamber you discover livid faces, cowled in hate. You calm your breath, still your wild heart. Through the long wet grasses the hares have trampled a pathway to the wire fence, underneath which they have made a grassy torque, braided with clover and with buttercup, their getaway. Listening to the radio. We got tuned in after rippling through the static by twiddling the fluent Bakelite knob on its mitred edges. It slid so easily past Hilversum, Dublin, to find Athlone, the frequency to pick the signal up all the way from Philadelphia. The Rocky Marciano title fight against Jersey Joe Walcott at 2 o'clock in the morning. My father up even though he's got the early shift in the morning. Tom and Jim and Sonny all there as well. Goldflake being lit and smoked. The whole kitchen a haze of blue, acrid and aromatic. When Marciano went down, my grandfather, Michael Carney, clenched his fist and said, "Get up! Get up!" His blind eyes closed against defeat. "He's way behind on points," he said, when out of nowhere, Rocky finds the punch that knocks out Jersey Joe in the 13th round. "California, here I come," said Michael Carney, picking off the butt stuck to his lip and outing it, as he always did, by rolling the lit stub almost caressingly between his black and yellow palms. "Right back where I started from," my father says.
Revolver. Thomas McCurtain, it was said, just took it out and shot a member of the Free State Special Branch dead in broad daylight on King, now McCurtain Street. When my father told this story, I'd get the smell of holster leather, gun oil, a level gaze of blue eyes under a shock of white hair. All of this takes place under the serene slant of the spire of the Presbyterian Church. Its Sunday school classroom is used from time to time for rehearsal. By the Tombstone section of the Barrack Street Band, the glissandi of the opening bars of the Belphegor March can be heard down as far as the Brime-Barrow Bridge. A kind of fanfare to the drawing apart of the twin cantilevers of the bridge as, battleship grey machinery revolving, the two halves are lifted up.
New York. The boat in which she took me away across the dark narrows of the inlet was of straw. The prow gathered to a knot of burnished tension like a corn dolly, or the crest which might surmount a mummer's headgear. She lit a match, and sulphur flared to crimson in the sea wind briefly, before it all reverted back again to Cimmerian gloom. Or, that was what the teacher called it back in Strangford, as he taught us how to strip the pith of rushes to make tapers for the lamp. Now the light craft swung between the shifts of waves until I heard the soft swish of the prow against a face of rock or stone. Suddenly the light flared up once more, and above us, in the boat, I saw Liberty raising her adamantine torch over flotillas of liners, merchant ships, destroyers, tenders, dredgers, each one following a course, each one followed by a wave of creamy light. I see that in this main of action she's the one I saw below Point's Pass one night in May in a drinking den beneath the town, after a gang of us had shagged ourselves saving barleycorn for days on end.